Very good morning, one and all. We have come with an interesting speaker and an interesting topic in the J.N.N Rise, powered by Ripe Global, the Talk Series 6, Script Your Success, Students Competence Enhancement, Industry Readiness Program. 10 weeks, 10 programs, 10 speakers, and we have only one goal to make the students industry ready. We thank you one and all for supporting us in YouTube as well as in live. Now I request Mr. Naveen Jayachandran, the Vice Chairman of J.N.N Group of Institutions, to share the highlights of this program, which we are doing every Saturday for you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Prabha. Good morning to everybody who has joined us virtually here today. Welcome to the session 6 of our script and the J.N.N Rice talk series. Today's guest is a special guest for all of us. Mr. Srinivasa Desikan is the director and business head of UL in South Asia. And I have a similarity with Mr. Desikan in that I am a mechanical engineer as well. And apart from his engineering degree, he's also done his master's, the MBA at IIM Bangalore. And he has an illustrious career with a wide experience of about more than 29 years. He has started with the TVS group of companies, and then he's moved on to several industries, including ancillaries, medical, and healthcare as well. And he has laid special emphasis on quality, and that is much evident in his resume. He has undergone several quality certifications for the companies where he has been, and he himself is a Six Sigma Black Belt certified professional as well. And I'm also told, and from his resume, I infer that he's also an expert in crisis management. It is evident that all of us have undergone and are currently undergoing a crisis in this COVID-19 situation as well. And I'm sure from his wide illustrious experience and the aptly named title for this session, Journey to Success, we will have a lot of takeaways and learnings from his session here today. I welcome you, sir. I thank you once again for accepting our invitation to join today's session, and I'm sure it will be a lot of valuable insights and takeaways from your illustrious career as well. Thank you so much.
Now I request CEO of RIPE and Coggets Technologies, Dr. V. Vijayanand Sriram, to introduce the speaker to the large audience. Over to you, sir.
Sir, you are
your
in
audio.
mute.
Yes.
Good morning, all. And on a lighter note, Naveen did the introduction of the speaker, and I'm sure he has done much better job than me this time of introducing the speaker because he's from a technical background. And when I was discussing with Mr. Naveen on what kind of topics we need to add in the talk series, we divided the topic range into KAS, that is knowledge, attitude, and skill. And there is a very popular saying that give me people with attitude, I can train them on knowledge and skills. So today's topic is going to be an interesting and enriching one, and an inner conscious topic where this attitude development plays a major role in one's career. So Journey to Success from Mr. Srinivasa Desikan is all about how to keep your attitude positive, how to keep yourself energetic, enthusiastic, enriched, and ethic based to achieve success in your life, both personal, professional, and social life. And I'm very happy to have Mr. Srinivasa Desikan today, an alumnus of IIM Bangalore with an illustrious career in leadership. That's more important. And I am waiting, like all of you, to listen to Mr. Srinivasa Desikan. Over to you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Sriram and Mr. Naveen, for giving such a good introduction. It actually I'm feeling a little humble whether I'm that great sitting in front of experienced people like you. However, it is a pleasure this morning to be amidst you and the virtual stream or the big group of students and others who are joining in through various through the other media, right? Mr. Sriram, you really rightly put it in terms of KAS, as you said, the knowledge, attitude, and skills. Knowledge and skills can always be acquired. Attitude has to be self-developed. And you said that pretty right. Show a person with the right attitude, and we can teach knowledge and skills. So with that preface, let me start talking a bit about my understanding about success based on my own career from where I started as a young student, like all of you who are watching this and listening to what we are saying. Something makes me a little nervous, which is like when you are looking at the screen and you're seeing only your face, right? But at the same time, you know pretty well that you are sitting there listening to what I'm talking here, and that gives the energy to go really strong in what I want to say, and that's what the journey is all about. So I have a request to all those young students who are sitting around let me call for the time being, let me call this around the auditorium, right? The virtual auditorium, as I could see. Because I remember when I was talking to the RIPE team initially a few weeks back, it was supposed to be a face-to-face discussion, and I was really excited. But well, we all know man proposes, God disposes, right? So we had to face this. Very unfortunately, educational institutions have been asked to shut down because of the pandemic that is going on. It is in our own benefit. It is in our own health requirement and things like that. And so we had to find out the next best way of connecting with all your students. So students who are sitting around think that this is a face-to-face session going on. Whether you're looking at this session through your mobile phone or you're looking at it through your laptops, whichever instrument you're using, think that for the next hour and a half, think that you are sitting in an auditorium listening to us face-to-face. And so I would really like this to be interactive in whichever way we can. And how can it be interactive? I know pretty well, sure you have been told that through the YouTube channel that you are watching this, you can share your questions whenever you have through a chat, and that will come to us and we'll be able to answer it as either as we go along or at the end of the presentation. But however, I would want to start it with a small icebreaker. Right, and when we say icebreaker, now here is the first challenge for all of you. I'm going to move to my next slide, and there's a question there, right? So I'm not going to show my entire slide to start with. I hope all of you can see the slide on the screen. The first thing that we are supposed to do here is to think, did you know? So put this question in your mind. Did you know? Right? And then natural question is, okay, what is it that you're asking, that did you know? The first thing is, did you know what is success? So can I pause for a couple of minutes and ask you students who are on the line to type on the chat screen, what is your understanding of success? So this is an icebreaker. Feel free There is no right or wrong answer. Please remember that. There is no stupid answer. There is no right or wrong answer. It is what your understanding is. So don't feel shy. Feel free to really say what you look at here. And now that I'm seeing the screen here, I am going to be a little interested if when it's a face-to-face discussion in any of the sessions that I do, if there is silence, then I would like to pick students, and I can see. Thanks, Mr. Naveen. You have put your names and your major also. I can see a lot of interesting students who have joined it. Okay, so I can see.
You got some response too.
Yes, I'm seeing that. Thank you. Yeah. So I can see responses here. So Purnima says, fulfill our dream. Success is to fulfill your dream. Very good. Right. And success is the result of efforts we have put through our journey, says Sweta. Good. Success is some sort of achieving the target. Nice. Okay, so this is something, you all achieving your goals. Vidula says it is achieving our goals. Very nice. Achieving our dreams. Journey to success. Wonderful. So please keep sharing. I'm really getting excited to see. Wow. That's interesting, Vijay. Wonderful. I have a very funny saying. What is the reward for hard work? No, not hard work. Reward for good work. And I always say the reward for good work is more work. So keep that in your mind.
That's wonderful.
And then that's really something that you have to think, because we give more work to our team members, only to those team members who do good work. If people do bad work, we don't give more work to them, right? So the reward for good work is. Trisha says, how much we work hard, that much we get the success. Interesting. Okay, so that's really a good thing. Let's look at what Merriam-Webster dictionary talks about as a definition of success, right? So I'm sure all of you would know the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So Merriam-Webster dictionary says the fact of getting or achieving wealth, respect, or fame. Now, like Madhumita says, keep working till we reach our goal. Yes. Now, what is your goal? Is what it depends on. Is it wealth? Is it respect? Is it fame? And success is also defined as the correct or desired result of an attempt. And this is what Mr. Sriram said in the beginning. Have the right attitude, and then you will get the right result. Right? Something or someone that is successful is a person or thing that succeeds. What is succeeds? Go back to the first two. All right. So this is Webster dictionary, and Webster is considered to be a master in understanding the words in English. Right. So I chose to take that. Now let's also look at the next one, which we say, what do you mean by journey? Now let's have some answers for you. What is a journey? And why did I choose things? Because the title that we have chosen is Journey to Success. So I want to be very sure that we are understanding what a journey is and what a success is. Any answers from students for the meaning of journey? Path to success. Wonderful, Pradeep. Very nice. Anybody else? Journey is a pathway mixture of both success and failures. Wow. Shweta, I really love this answer. I really love this answer because journey is not always successes alone. Life is a mixture of successes and failures. Well said. Okay, anybody else? Just I'm looking for maybe one or two more. Journey is traveling. Very good. Yes, absolutely. Probably when you see the Webster definition, you will understand that you are pretty close to what they say. Okay, anybody else? All right. So let's look at the definition of what Merriam-Webster says. The definition of journey is something suggesting travel or passage from one place to another. The journey from youth to maturity, a journey through time. An act or instance of traveling from one place to another. Right? So, and Vidula, yeah, rightly said, working through every step in our life. That's fantastic. That's really well said. Now, having understood this, let us look at what we have to. How do we have to look at this journey to success? Now, where does success? When do you see success? Is the next question, right? And before I go on to that, onto the next slide, let me also encourage. And before I do that, first of all, a big thank you for all the students who responded to the first icebreaker, right? And I really love this because it is the first break that it's really difficult, because it will be accepted or not. That feeling will always be in the mind. If you break that, that's your first step to success. And I encourage, and I really encourage all other students to make it to that. Say what you think. And the challenge for all of you is, as you are answering, I'm looking at my screen and I'm seeing the comments that are coming in. You should make my life difficult to read through the comments and really see. And I have to say, stop. Oh, too many people are talking at the same time, right? So give a challenge to me. I like challenges. Okay, so going on to the next one. Remember this: success is a journey. It is not a destination. Nobody can say that, okay, I've succeeded and here is my end. I'm done. No. Every step of your life is a success, right? Let's think about this. You were born maybe for 17, 18 years back, right? As young infants. Your first success was when you spelled your first word, right? And most of the human race, the first word they do is to call the mother Ma, Amma, right? That's your first success. And imagine the amount of ecstasy and the happiness your mom, your dad would have had when you spelled the first word. That is your first success. Then you started walking after a few months. Your first step is a success. And that's what I think somebody said. Was it Shweta or someone who said, every step, working through every step of your life, right? Your first step. Then you joined your kindergarten school. You graduated. I mean, if you go to the US, they do graduation for kindergarten. It's all the graduate caps and all that, stuff. And that's catching up in India also. So you graduated through your kindergarten. Then you graduate through your primary school. You graduate through your middle school. You graduate through your high school, your higher secondary school, and now at college. Have you not seen success in every step of your life so far? So remember that it is a journey. And once you achieve one success, doesn't mean that you don't have to put effort for the next. Those efforts are over. Now the efforts are different. The winning post has changed. You're seeing this is my now. You are at your final year or pre-final year, whichever year you are. Some of you are in the second year of engineering. So you've got 2 more years to go. Some of you are doing, your arts and science courses, right? You've got maybe 1 more year or you're in the final year, whatever it is, right? Sorry, I can see Vinega saying journey is a destination. Journey is not a destination. Journey is just moving from one place to another. The act of moving from a starting point to an ending point is journey, right? The moment you reach the ending, whichever defined ending point today, that becomes a starting point for the next journey, right? So keep that. Success is a very personal set of achievements. Well said, Lakshman. Absolutely, right? It's a very personal set of achievements. So keep that. Always keep in mind that you are looking at what next. And all of you would have heard this very famous, most used statement, right? The past is history, the future is mystery, the present is what is there in your hand, and that's why it's called a present. It's given to you as a present. So in the present, what you do is to learn and understand from your past. Don't brood over your past. If you failed in the past, done. Take the learning, move on. For the future, don't get hung up on what's going to happen tomorrow. Plan for it, but act today. That is what your journey should be, right? So live on that journey as you go along. Now, from here, now we have to talk about first things first. Okay, so journey has to start. First things first. What is the journey? Now we are talking about, okay, let's not worry about your LKG, UKG, primary school. It's all done. You have succeeded. That's why you have come here. Now here, I always love one very famous anecdote which says this, which is today, is the first day of the rest of my life. And if you are in the first day of the rest of your life, what amount of energy that you have is something that only you can feel for it, right? So when you do that, you have to first understand, okay, what should I do? First things first. Now, what we do is to choose your path. And all this I'm saying is not just because I have taken it from theory books or something. It is what I have undergone. Every successful person sitting in this audience, whether it is Mr. Naveen or Mr. Sriram or Prabha or Pradeep or your own professors sitting around, they all have gone through, and you also have chosen your path to come here. Because some of you have chosen to become an engineer, some of you have chosen to become an English literate, some of you have also chosen to take business administration. So you have chosen your path, right? Now choose your path ahead. There are 2 things that you have to remember to choose your path. One is what really interests you. It is very important. Don't let certain pressures, overtake your interest. Speak out, right? Naturally, what happens, there'll be a lot of advices and inputs that is coming in. Take all that. Evaluate yourself. Learn that evaluation right now at this young age, right? Because as you move along, there's a lot of such decisions you have to take when you keep moving. So choose your path based on your interest and your choice. So you might get confused between choose and choice. You will have choices, couple of choices to make, right? I mean, just to give an example, the current job that I'm in, which is the director and business head for UL, and UL is a safety science company, right? So for now, all of you are very internet savvy, and information is always there in your hand. Go and Google up for this company called UL, or in other words, Underwriters Laboratories, and you will find out what company is this. Now, when I moved from my previous company to this company, I had a choice of 2 companies to go, right? One was a manufacturing industry and the other was a service industry. And the choice that I did was based on my interest and my understanding of what I could achieve going from a manufacturing industry to between a manufacturing industry and service industry. And let me tell you, At that point, when I had to make that choice, this was like 6.5 years back. I was like 23 years into work experience at that time, and all the 23 years had been only in manufacturing industry. And I'll in a subsequent slide I'll show you my journey as to how I moved from my first job to now. But here I had a manufacturing industry, which is very well area that I knew, and here is a service industry which I did not know anything about. And there I had to take a call. Everything else being the same, the salary level was the same, the level of title was the same, the position was almost the same. It's only the industry that is different. And I chose to take this challenge, right? Based on my interest, to go and figure out something new in life. That's my challenge. I always want to take something new, right? So I chose 6.5 years. I'm thoroughly enjoying this job, thoroughly. Now, will my choice change after this? Could be. There's nothing wrong about it, right? How you're going is what will define how you choose your path. Now, I want to take the next maybe 5-7 minutes to talk about the ingredients to success. And when I talk about ingredients to success, it is very important that you look at each one of these ingredients that I'm going to talk about, and none of these are more important than the other. Each one is extremely important, right? So please pay attention to these ingredients. The first one is integrity. Now, what is integrity really? Integrity is defined as something that you say what you do what you say, be honest, be straightforward. Don't do anything that would harm or hurt others. Speak the Merriam-Webster dictionary, go into Google to really read about integrity. That's the topmost character or the ingredient that you need to have in mind at every moment of your life. There is no holiday to integrity. If you lose integrity and do something, you might be having a short-term success at that point of time, but be sure at some point in future it's going to come back and hit you hard, right? So it is very important to take integrity as the first ingredient to success. I've had experiences in the past where the teams that I had been leading over my a few companies that I've worked, there were people who actually had issues with integrity, and the thing that they saw was they were just asked to leave the organization, because the organization is a collection of individuals. The organization is for a larger purpose. So one person's selfish interests cannot affect the organization. So that is the level of integrity that you need to have. When and you have that integrity, life is not going to be a bed of roses, right? When you act with integrity, there will be certain pressures, there will be certain concerns that will hit you. But if you go through them, the success that you will see will be very, very sweet, unimaginably sweet. That's the first ingredient. The second is ethics. Okay. Now, what is ethical and what is unethical? Ethics itself is a big subject for a discussion for a whole day, right? So I'm going to spend only a minute on it, and I want to help you with a story, which you would have heard it from your parents, grandparents, or anybody for many times. It is about a Swamiji or a sannyasi who was sitting and doing penance in a forest, and then young girl is coming running, right, panting for breath and all that. And she comes and she says, oh, Swamiji, there are bad people who are chasing me. They are going to kill me. So please save me. And she looks around and she finds a place to, to hide. And says, I will hide here. Please don't show me to them. So the sannyasi does not say anything. So she goes and hides there. The thugs come there, the bad people come there, and they ask this sannyasi, did you see a girl coming here? And the sannyasi just looks at them and shows his hand in a different direction. And they all go off, searching for that girl. This girl comes out, thanks the sannyasi, and leaves. Now, what is ethical here? A sannyasi is expected to speak the truth. So if he had to speak the truth, he should have shown the girl is sitting just behind me, she's hiding here. But had he done that, then his other ethical moral or his character should be to safeguard lives, right? So he had to do that. So to which one is more important, right? So instead of saying that I will always speak only the truth, he chose the ethical path of saying that, okay, I have to safeguard a life. He doesn't know what really this girl is all about, whether she's really a good person or a bad person. But then nobody has, authority to kill a life. Now, this sort of situation is a very simple situation, maybe not very relevant to what we are talking today, but it has significant relevance. The whole thing is about, are you doing are you staying ethical in whatever you're doing? And in today's scenario, there are a lot of such conflicting situations that keep coming all the time. The third thing is trust. Trust is earned. You have to earn the trust of people with whom you're working, above you, people who are below you, and your own peers. With every one of them, you have to earn the trust. Unless the trust is earned, you will not be able to grow or succeed easily. But once the trust is earned, then you will feel that it's very easy to even turn mountains, right? So trust is the next ingredient. The fourth is collaborate. If you think that you are independent in this world, can anybody say that I'm independent in this world? If somebody says that, then they are grossly misstating their presence, right? Or that part. There is an amount of dependency in every individual in your day-to-day life, right? So I can say, oh, I have to be financially independent, or I don't like dependency. Well, okay, so in that case, are you going to grow your own vegetables and food for eating? Are you going to weave and stitch your own clothes for wearing? Are you going to build your own house for living? As simple as these three. Are you going to make your own vehicles for traveling? So there is a dependency. Now, understand the difference between the independency or dependency and collaboration. Collaboration is, in simple terms, give and take, right? You have to make sure that you work closely, you interact closely with people around you, and ensure that you provide your effort to them, and in return, you take effort from them. And in today's world, whether it is an official world or your personal world, living without collaboration is very, very difficult, right? So you have to make sure that you collaborate. Then comes recognition, right? Very simple. How many of you, think for yourself, you don't have to answer, think for yourself. How many of you thank your mother every day for the food she makes for you? Think for yourself. right? And if you don't, please do it from now on. If you do, really good. What does your mom look for? Does she look for money for whatever thing that she's doing? And imagine a mom who's not just a homemaker. Imagine a mom who's also having maybe Prabha sitting here. I can take Prabha as an example, right? Women have got today an official life and a personal life. How much of a time have you, and here I'm not distinguishing between men and women when it comes to the kids, right, the boys or girls. How many of you have you helped or shared the work at home, the domestic chores? And Pradeep says, I do. Good, Pradeep. I mean, thanks for saying that out. And then Jansi Prabha says that, yes, me too. Now, nice. It's really nice. The amount of satisfaction that you get. Forget about the other person getting. The amount of satisfaction that you get when you recognize a person. Remember, the recognition comes back to you in some way or the other. Right? It is very, very important that you recognize even subtle things, small things makes a big difference. Right? And that when you're working in a team environment, when you recognize your team, the amount of effort and the results that they bring is going to be phenomenally high. You can never imagine the amount of support that adds to your trust, that enhances your collaboration. You become more ethical in working. Your integrity level goes up. It's really a sort of what do you call a ripple effect, right? A positive ripple effect. And finally, putting all this together is what makes you a leader, right? There is a big difference between being a leader and being a manager. In simple terms, a leader leads, a manager manages. And when you say lead, what does it mean? You have to lead by example. Do what you say what you do. Walk the talk are very famous quotes that people keep using all the time. Now, well, so these are like 6 ingredients that are sitting around there, but together, which is communication. Without communication, it's very hard to survive in this world. So I want to share one example of mine when I was working for General Electric, GE, as a business team leader there. And I had my boss's boss. His name was Mr. Mark Oneto from France. So I was sitting on a one-on-one conversation with him just to understand what I'm doing and what his expectations are. And he gave me a simple advice. He said, Desikan, remember 3 rules in life. Rule number 1, communicate. That it's very important that you communicate. And when you communicate, you have to be very clear, right? Without ambiguity in what you want to say. So remember that. Then he said, rule number 2. Rule number 2 is communicate. I was like, okay, that's what you said as rule number 1. He said, yes, rule number 2 is also communicate. Okay, what does this communicate now? He said, communication is 2-way. It is not just what you say, it is what the other person receives. You have to make sure that the person to whom you are communicating also receives the message that you are saying with the same intent and understanding as you are expecting them to. So ask them whether they have understood. Ask them to repeat. Tell them that, that this is what you're going to do. That is rule number 2. And what do you think rule number 3 would have been? Surprisingly, that was also communicate. So I was like, okay, now what is this rule number 3? Also communicate. He said, repeated communication is always better than no communication. Keep saying it again and again. Communicate until the other person drops dead with your communication. They say, enough, I've taken your communication. Please leave me alone. Now, that is better than to say the other person comes back after a while and says that, oh, by the way, what did you say? I did not understand what you said. Right? Now, this communication as the centerpiece is going to help you in terms of meeting all the ingredients that are sitting around and take you to the path to success. Just imagine for yourself. Think of all the leaders who have gone around, right? These leaders are people who have really communicated their mind, and that's how they've been able to lead. Leaders have not done things themselves. They have got things done by communicating and by following all these ingredients, right? So moving on, I think I said 7 minutes. I took more than that, but thought it was important. Now I will quickly share with you my journey, right? And this is something probably you might be interested to know, or because from here, my subsequent slides, I have a few things that I want to share, which is dependent on this. I finished my graduation in 1991. I'm a BE mechanical from Tyagaraja College of Engineering, Madurai, and started my career in the same year as a graduate engineer trainee at Brakes India Limited, a TVS group company. And the place of work is a small town, I would say village, called Sholingar. Many of you might know Sholingar, which is like about 27 kilometers off Arakonam, right? Arakonam, Tirthani, wherever. So I joined there as a graduate engineer trainee. That was my first job, right? And here is an interesting anecdote that I want to share, right? And this is for something for all of you to remember, because success starts with this. When you go into a work environment, right? Today I'm sitting here with a jacket, I'm looking nice and all that. Now, as a fresh engineer, right, and we were 3 of us from 3 different colleges. There was another friend of mine who joined from REC Kurukshetra, and a third friend of mine who joined from Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering, Bangalore, SVCE Bangalore. So all 3 of us joined the same day, and we walked into the office, went to the HR, gave our introductions and all that, and they said, okay, you go to the shop floor. The factory manager is waiting for you. And here we go, nicely dressed with all full cuff shirts and all that, because we are engineers, right? So we come here for a big job. And I go there, and the factory manager receives us at the entrance of the factory. And he said, welcome, gentlemen. Nice to see you here. And the first thing he did is he took my hand and started folding my shirt. He did it. So, no, I will do it for me. He said, no, allow me to do it, because I want to make a point. He said, gentlemen, you are coming here to work in a factory. This is not a white-collar job. This is a blue-collar job. If you don't go and dirty your hands here on the machines, you are not going to learn anything. And if you think just because you have got a BE degree, you know engineering, he said, forget it. That's only book knowledge. The moment you go inside, you'll understand what real engineering is, right? Now here, remember this. There is always a very common, I would say, misquoted statement which says that, oh, all our education system is all very theoretical. There is no practical implementation. No. Every line of theory written in your books has got a practical implication. Your thinking is what really matters. Because when you walk in and look at a machine and you say, oh, by the way, on mechanics, what did I read there? By the way, in thermodynamics, what did I read here? Oh, is that applied here? That is where your application comes in. Okay? And I'm sorry, because I'm a mechanical engineer, I'm giving a mechanical engineering example. I can see there are people from biochemistry, from mathematics, from English, from business administration. Okay? Everyone has got its own relationship and impact to practical implementation. Right? So that's how my career started. And I was like, oh, I thought I'm an engineer. No, now go onto the machine. And mind you, I was in that company for about 9 years, right? And it was during that period I got married. I started my career as a maintenance engineer, or those days, I mean, they used to call it as plant engineering. So I was a plant engineer, which means every day I have to go and make repairs in machines, right? So when I got married, when I used to come home, my wife used to ask me, are you a mechanic or an engineer? That used to be the level of learning. And that today helps me in terms of understanding the practical difficulties or the work environment of my team members who are joining fresh. If you don't understand that, there are certain students certain people who think that, okay, when I finish my graduation, I have to get a corner office. I need to get a glass door office. Well, that's a good dream to have. But then you won't understand the real root cause or the root issues of the team who's slogging in the company for you, right? So remember that. That's my first organization. And then, okay, as I said, I was in this company for 9 years. So 1991 to 1999 or early 2000. In 1997, I went to IIM Bangalore, right? So this was came to me as a real, I feel goosebumps even now when I'm talking about it, because I was sponsored by Breaks India to undergo this full-time residential program. Right, so they gave me leave of absence and they go study and come. Right now, well, I don't call myself as an MBA because the program was called MPT, Management Program for Technologists, right? And it was a full 2-year MBA, actually completely crushed into 6 months. And it was like we used to start classes at 8 o'clock in the morning. The classes would go till 4:30 in the evening. And then from 4:30, when we come out of the class, we will have a minimum of 4 assignments or a project that we should complete and submit the next day, the very next day. So we, from 4:30 till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, we used to sit and do that. We go and sleep at 4 o'clock, get up at 7:30, get ready, 8 o'clock, go back to class. This is what happened for 6 months, right? Imagine if any of you are feeling that your college life is very stressful, your teachers are giving a lot of assignments and tests and all that. There is much more to it when you go into different colleges, right? I'm sorry, I don't know about J.N.N, but I'm sure there is a lot of such things that excites you in your college as well. So successfully finished my management program and I became an IIM alumni. And then in 1999, I chose to move away from Breaks India, and those days it used to be called as GE Medical Systems. So now here is the first challenge I had. I'm a mechanical engineer, you know that, I've said it. At GE Healthcare, I went and joined as a quality engineer for manufacturing setup which was making high voltage generators. Well, electrical engineering, hardcore electrical engineering. Right? Why did I go there? Not because I was an electrical engineer, because I was a quality professional. Right? So now here, why I'm saying this is, the interest and the choice that I told you a few slides back is what comes in here. My interest was in quality, process, right? And the choice that I had to take was to say that, should I get stuck to one industry or should I move to different industry? Now, is my choice and interest the best? I never say that. It depends on what you want, what is in your mind. Remember that. So I was in GE Healthcare. So within GE Healthcare, I was in this role for about 7 months. I was on a 1-year probation, but after 7 months, my probation was cut short. I was confirmed in 7 months and promoted as business team leader. And they asked me to take care of a unit that was manufacturing ultrasound scanners. Did that for 2 years. And this was the challenging phase of my life, because anything that could go wrong had gone wrong in that department when I took over that job. So I had to do a turnaround, a complete turnaround in 13 months from where we were completely, rock bottom to, in 13 months, we were adjudged the best team in the global arena of GE Medical Systems, and we got an award. That's the level of turnaround that we did with the team, and that's all teamwork, nothing personal. It's complete teamwork. And then for another 1 year, I was there as the divisional quality head for a unit that was manufacturing X-ray tubes, right? Completely medical electronics is what I saw there, right? Nothing to do with mechanical engineering, hardcore. But did mechanical engineering help? It did help a lot. Now, if that is a change, look at this change. In 2002, I joined SL Propack. For many of you most of you would not have heard this name, but every one of you are using SL Propack's products every day in your life. The toothpaste that you're using, the plastic tubes that the toothpaste comes in, is all made by SL Propack. SL Propack is the world's largest laminated tubes manufacturer. And for all of you to understand this a little more, it belongs to the ZTV group. SL is part of the ZTV group. Now they have, about a year and a half or 2 years back, they have disinvested this company and given it to a private equity investor. But it was part of the ZTV group. So I did not even know this company. And a consultant called me and said, "Oh, there's a job," and I was in Bangalore with GE. This guy calls me and said, "There's a job in Bombay. Are you interested?" Like, Bombay? Oh wow, I've never been there. Okay. I said, "What company?" SL Propack. I don't even know what this company is. Then he said, "It belongs to ZTV company." I said, "No, I don't want to join a media house. I'm not a media person." So, no, SL Propack is not a media company. This is a flagship company. Blah blah blah. Whatever manufacturing. I took up, and here it is plastics manufacturing. If I had or a plastics, I would have thought that this is my area. But then again, I went there as the group quality head. So they have about 13. They are present in 13 countries. They have about 25 manufacturing plants, and I was the quality head for the entire global operation. I was there with this company for about 9 years, right? And as part of that, looking at what I did, I was deputed on a 1-year deputation to Singapore because this company acquired a medical devices company called Avalon Medical Systems. What is medical devices? All your catheters, cardiac catheters. When you go for angioplasty and all that, they put catheters inside your body. That's what they make. Well, completely different medical devices. I had to go and learn that. From there, so in 2010 I came back. After 1 year I came in Singapore. I came back. I was still with SL Propack. In 2010 I joined a company called Cosmo Films. Now, just because the name says films, don't think that it is the film industry. No, not the industry is making packaging films, right? They are a very leading packaging film manufacturer. Okay, now I was there only for a very short while, about 16 months. Then I left and I joined ITC, and I'll come to that, why I was there only for 16 months. In 2012, I joined ITC, again, packaging, but this time it is paper packaging, not plastics. So see where I moved, from mechanical engineering to medical electronics to laminated tubes, plastics manufacturing, to medical devices, to Cosmo Films, plastics manufacturing again, to ITC, paper manufacturing, and finally joined UL, which is service industry, in 2014. Right now, I've got one more bar that's going to come here, and this is something which is, I feel, as the biggest change that I made. In all this, from 1991 to 2014, I was always in, and as Mr. Naveen said at the beginning, I've been in quality, process. I'm a Six Sigma black belt. By the way, I got my black belt certification when I was with GE, right? So all that, supply chain, manufacturing, operations, that's what I've done till 2014, right? I'm still with UL right now. In 2019, I want to take a change. So I said, now I'm going to leave manufacturing and I'm going to go into sales. And I'm now the sales director and business head for UL in South Asia. It's been a wonderful journey for the last 3 years, 2.5 years, doing sales, right? Now, here is something that you have to remember when you are choosing your career. Choose what you think. My choice is I want to have challenge. right? Now, will I retire in UL? I may not. I don't know. Depends upon how how situations work. But will I leave tomorrow? No, I will not. This company is really awesome. So I'm going to be here. Will I do anything apart from sales? Of course, yes. If an opportunity comes and if I don't know, I will certainly go for it. Right? At the same time, you also have to be sure that sometimes you can, in such situations, you can make wrong decisions. And one of the wrong decision was here in 2010 when I joined Cosmo Films. Right? Great company. They are today, if I'm not mistaken, about a 45-year-old company, right? But somehow it did not gel well for me. I could not stay there for more than 3 months. But after that, I did not get a job. So I pulled on for a year. It was very tough. My health got affected, right? For so many reasons. I don't want to get into that thing. It's my own personal stuff. But before I left, when I was leaving from SL Propack to Cosmo Films, my reporting manager, my boss in SL Propack, who's even today my mentor, said, Desikan, don't go. Knowing your temperament, your attitude, you will not sustain there, is what he said. I told him I want to take a challenge. Because, here I was regional head of manufacturing in SL Propack, and they called me as Vice President, Global Manufacturing. I said, oh, I'm getting a title as Vice President. I'm getting a good salary jump. He said, all that is fine, but don't go. I didn't listen to him. I said, I want to go. He said, okay, go. Went. 3 months, could not. Those sort of things can also happen, but the lesson here is 2 lessons. One is, don't get completely bogged down. Don't get frustrated because of that. Because failure is also, and one of you said in the beginning, life is a journey of successes and failures. Failure is also part of. Failing is not wrong. But if you do the same failure twice, then something is wrong with you. Make sure that you don't repeat your mistakes. But make new mistakes, because that is when you learn. And when you make mistakes, own up your mistake. Don't put the blame on others. That is something very important that you have to look at. So let me move on from here, and I want to share a few very interesting quotes as well as certain experiences that I've had. The first one, again, when I see this gentleman's photograph or face, I truly get goosebumps, because I have had a chance face to face and spend 90 minutes with him, one-on-one. This was when I was working for General Electric. He was the principal scientific advisor to the government of India at that point of time. And he had come on, government of India at that point of time was looking at establishing multi-speciality hospitals across the country. And so his job was to go and choose companies who could supply medical equipments to these companies. So he came to Bangalore, he came to our office in GE in Whitefield, and I was running the ultrasound manufacturing plant at the point of time. And he came to my office. I was standing after he met our president, all the top level meetings were over. He said, okay, let me go for the factory tour. So my portion of the factory, I had to take him. So I'm standing at the gate, he comes and see, this is where I call it as, the real tenets of leadership. A person with this sort of a great credential, right? He has really made his stamp, not only in India, but the whole world in terms of, space research, right? The missile man of India, that's what he is. He comes there and he looks at me and said, good morning, nice to meet you. What is your name? I said, sir, I'm Srinivasa Desikan. The next question he asked me, he looks at my forehead and he says, "Idan nee daily poduviya?" And I was like, I didn't expect this question at all. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I'm sir. Daily podu. The next thing he said was, "This is our culture. Never stop it. Never forget it." Right? Now I was like, "Oh, come on. We have heard, or we constantly keep hearing about the religion and the race and Muslims, Hindus, and all that." And this guy, and we know, of course, though he's from an Islam, he follows Islam. He is grown in Hindu families. He has been grown up by Hindu elders, so he doesn't differentiate between people. He only looks at what is the culture, what is your attitude. And I said, "Yes, sir. I've been doing it right from my childhood, and I will not stop it." Very good. And then he said, "Okay, ba pola. Floor kami enakku." He wrapped his hands around my shoulders and said, "Good boy, over Sripa kami." And the ultrasound manufacturing has got something like 14 different stations, the assembly line. And I took him through each one of that, and very politely, very patiently asked a lot of questions, which I was able to answer. And when he went, he said, "I really like the way that you're running your shop floor. Congratulations and keep it up." I can never forget it. And I feel very sad, that I don't have a photograph that I could have taken with him, because those days we didn't have the cell phones to take selfies, right? So those were not available those days. Of course, the company had organized an official photograph to take photograph. That guy was there, but then somehow I didn't get a chance to get a copy of that photographs, whatever it is. But what is etched in your mind is something much bigger than the photographs, right? So you will get opportunities. You will get opportunities like this to meet great people, right? Cherish those moments and get the learnings from them. So I want to quote here a couple of quotes that he has given in this book, Wings of Fire, that he has written. I have a copy of it. Right. The first one is, he says, "Be active, take on responsibility, work for the things you believe in. If you do not, you are surrendering your fate to others." Right. And this was a very powerful quote that I learned from him. Right. And he said, "You be your boss. Choose what you want to do, but all with humility, all with collaboration, all the ingredients that we set to success, that cannot be forgotten." Right. But take on responsibility. Take on responsibility. Who is responsible for your success and your failure? It is only you, nobody else. Everybody can only enable or disable your success or failure. But who is responsible? It is you personally. Remember that. The other quote that I liked from what he said is, "Total commitment is a crucial quality for those who want to reach the very top of their profession." Unwavering commitment. That's very, very important. You cannot have conditional commitments. If you have conditional commitments, then you are not signed up for success, or you are not signed up to reach the top of your profession. Right. So these are very important quotes. And while before I move on to my next slide, I also want to share similar experiences with two more great stalwarts of the world. One is none other than Mr. Jack Welch, the ex-chairman of GE. Now he's no more. He had come to Bangalore, and like Dr. Abdul Kalam came to my factory, Jack Welch also came to my factory, and he spent 60 minutes with me talking about my production. And he's the business head, right, or the CEO of the company. And the type of questions, very sharp. And for those of you who would have read about Jack Welch, if you're not read, please go and read about Jack Welch. Those are all leaders whom we have to really know about. Sharp questions, and he expects very sharp answers, but very polite, very, very friendly. That's another example, another great experience I've had with with great stalwarts. And the third is Mr. Y.C. Deveshwar, the late Mr. Y.C. Deveshwar, who was the chairman of ITC. right? And here went on with him for an interview, right? So because when I joined ITC as the operations head in the packaging plant in Tiruvattiur in Chennai, my final interview was with Mr. Vaishideveshwar at the corporate office headquarters in Kolkata. What was supposed to have been a 30-minute conversation, that's what the time that was said, it went on for 1.5 hours, 1 hour and 20 minutes, something like that. And the type of questions, the type of interactions, the breadth of interactions that he brought in, right? Ultimately, when the interview was over, so he said, Desikan, I'm happy and I want to announce right here that I'm selecting you for this job, right? So when can you join? I said, and this was just after Cosmo Films, so I had already resigned from Cosmo Films. I said, I'm available right now to join. He said, okay, where are you living? I said, I'm living in Mumbai. But he said, this role is in Chennai. I said, I know it's in Chennai, so I'll move to Chennai. Okay, what about your family? I said, right now I'll move, sir. And my wife is working she's faculty in a college in Mumbai. She was chartered accountant, she was finance faculty in B school. And my kids are studying in Mumbai. So I'll have to go there, look for their schooling first of all, and then probably look for a job for my wife also. And then I'll probably move them next year. And you know what he immediately said? He said, no, I'm not allowing you to do that. I said, means you have to move your family along with you right now. I said, sir, but schooling and go figure it out. And see the amount of challenge that leaders gave you. Right? I did it. What I thought cannot happen, made it happen. He said, the company will give you recommendation letters to all this, whichever school that you want to go in Chennai. Take letters from the company, go and meet the principal, do whatever you want. That much help we can do. You have to find your way out. And he said, this is an employment condition. If you think that you cannot move your family to Chennai, you don't get this job. And what was the meaning behind it? And he said, and he gave a reason for it also. He said, look, if you go and stay there alone, it is not an easy job, Desikan. It's a factory manager. You are going to head a factory, complete factory, right? So you will be, suppose suddenly your wife calls up and says, oh, my first daughter has got some headache. Then you will not concentrate on your job. You can neither concentrate on your job, nor you can concentrate on your family because you are away from them. That is something which I don't want my employees, my teams to suffer. You have a family to live with. So you have to be with your family. Go do it. We did that, right? We moved. So these are great examples that I wanted to share from my experience, personal experience. Each one of you would have many experiences like this, right? Look for it, and every experience. And I'm sure, students, when you're talking to your professors, every one of your professor is a great experience for you. Learn from them. Your vice chairman, Mr. Naveen, who's sitting here, right? The experiences that you can gain, and that can pave way for your success. A few other quotes. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Lord Tzu, who said what? Maybe in BC. But how profound a statement. You have to take your first step. You have to begin thinking about it, right? So that is something that you have to really think of now. You have gained, or you are gaining some knowledge through your education. That is your first step. Keep thinking step after step, and you will certainly succeed. I'm sure you know this great human being of all times, Mahatma Gandhi, who also said, live as if you were to die tomorrow and learn as if you were to live forever. Right? Now, why I brought this up here is I want to also share my current experience. You graduate, and then what happens? You stop learning. If you stop learning, it is like staying still. And here is a famous anecdote, which I always love this. staying still is moving backwards, because everybody are going to go ahead of you. Now, another sharing that I can do, after I finished my management course at IIM Bangalore, I did a few other learnings. So to my credit, right now I have, and this was of course through the companies that I work, and I can share the latest ones, which is with UL. I have a degree from Northwestern University, but actually it was a sort of collaboration with Northwestern University US, but given by UL University, which is UL's own training and development, on a global leadership program. I have a degree from Yale University US, which is one of the Ivy League schools, on executive leadership program. I have a certificate course from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, on artificial intelligence and machine learning. And currently, I am pursuing a postgraduate program on data sciences and business analytics, with which is actually conducted by Great Learning, which is a collaborated course between Great Lakes School of Management, Chennai, and the University of Texas at Austin. There's a one-year program. It's a degree, postgraduate program. And apart from that, this is all related to work. Apart from that, right now I'm also learning Sanskrit as a language, right? Just to learn the scriptures of things. Why I'm saying all this is, learn as if you were to live forever, as Mahatma Gandhi said. Learning never stops. If you think you can stop learning at some point of time, you have decided that you don't want to grow any further. That's what it means. Because today, I have to be competing with you. Remember that. Who are your competition? The youngsters are the competition to the elders. Because we have learned things 20 years back, 30 years back. Today, the world has changed. Every day there is a evolution that happens, and you are part of the evolution. So suddenly you will come and you will challenge, and you say, I know more than you. Of course you know more than us. So you have to keep learning. So when you grow up, your youngsters will become your competition. Remember that. And how many of you know this lady, Indra Nooyi? She is the ex-CEO, chairman and CEO of PepsiCo International. I mean, this is a lady who I admire a lot. Okay. So there are 5 things that I picked from her. She always says, imagine you are the president, which means you are the topmost person, and have that vision when you want to grow, right? Develop a niche skill. What is your real strength? Build on that strength. Think like your customer, right? You have customers every day in your life. So you have to think what their expectation, what their need will be, what their expectation will be. Surprise with gratitude is what I said, say thanks. And she gives an example when she became CEO of PepsiCo, and many people came home to see her after she became the CEO. And people who came started thanking her for bringing up such a child and giving a great CEO for PepsiCo. And that's where she learned, and she sent 400 handwritten scripts to her employees' parents, thanking them for giving such a great person in the company. So surprise with gratitude and be strong. Very, very important. Never show weakness. Be strong. So these are all things things have been said by Indra. So probably last couple of slides, a few imperatives. Learning is a never-ending process, as I said a little while ago. Make a careful choice when you have options. I mentioned about the choice that I made between the 2 companies before I joined UL, and the mistake I made when I joined Cosmo Films. Always have a team who will be more effective than you, which is what I said. You are my competition, right? Experience space. Getting your hands dirty today will make you a good leader tomorrow. Practice everything with your own hands. You don't have to become. See, if you're an engineer, if you're a commerce graduate, if you're computer science graduate, it doesn't mean that you will have to do the groundwork all the time. As you grow, you will have to start thinking as a leader, but you have to practice, experience the basics first of all, so that you can understand your team when you grow up, and understand your strengths and build them constantly to overcome your weaknesses. Right? This is a very important thing that you have to remember. We always have been taught is to understand your weakness and overcome the weakness. Life has changed, right? If you have a weakness, so be it. Let it be there. Nothing is wrong. Not every human being is all full of strengths. Just understand your weakness. And you say, okay, my weakness is there, but understand all your strengths. And those strengths you work on so that those strengths will cover your weaknesses, right? That is the most important thing. And this is my last slide. Finally, develop the habit of reading. What I have put here are the a few books that I read very early in my life, when I was an engineer or a junior level person. And the first book there, First Break All the Rules. It's a very, very beautiful book by Marcus Buckingham, right? We are all told to live within rules. But then he says, break all the rules. That's when your innovation, your creativity comes in. Right? You have to be creative. And of course, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a real super top seller, read by millions and millions of people around the world. Wings of Fire, I spoke a lot about it, and The Goal by Eliyahu Goldratt. Right, this is how to make money. Very important, right? You have to make money in your life. So how to make money the right way, right? So now it's question time. I am done with my gyan, if I could call that, and I turn it over to Prabha and the team. I can answer any questions that you have.
That was inspirational, sir. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think a lot of questions would have come from the students, but there are a few questions already been posted. So I just wanted to start with the question thread. Naveen, would you like to take it up, or shall we go to the questions? Okay, so let me go to the first question. One of the students has asked, is it advisable to go for post-graduation immediately after completing our graduation? What is your advice?
Very interesting. Employment, of course, there are 2 factors. One is your family situation, whether you have to go for employment, right? That's one thing. So I'm keeping that aside. For somebody who has a choice, right? You have to decide on, or you have to have a view or a vision of what you want to do in the long run. And the best thing to do is finish your graduation, and then you have that idea as to what you want to do in a long run. Maybe you want to do post graduation in your own area of subject. So if you're a BSc, you want to do an MSc, MPhil, PhD, or whatever it is. If you're an engineering graduate, you do an MBA or a ME, MTech, MPhil, or whatever it is. But whatever you're trying to do, of work experience to start with. Because when you go to post-graduation is slightly different from your graduation. It is actually, the medical fraternity has this very interesting way of putting it. Who is a specialist and who is a generalist? You go to a general practitioner and you go to a specialist, right? An MBBS is general practitioner, MD, MS, DGO, or all these are specialists. So who is the best specialist? Somebody who knows everything about something is a specialist. Somebody who knows something about everything is a generalist. So for a doctor, we can say, oh, I am a limbs specialist. Okay, so he knows only how to move your limbs. Then another doctor comes and says, oh, I am a right limb specialist. I am a left limb specialist. So specialization, that's a funny way of putting it, but the real thing is, you are getting into more and more in-depth understanding of the subject that you're taking there. For which, if you have a couple of years of work experience, relevant work experience, it will help you in terms of making your your post graduation more effective. And this comes in even more important if you are taking something like an MBA, Master of Business Administration. If you're doing, you are actually going to administer a business, learn to administer a business. Unless you know what's happening in the business, all that will become theory. So my advice would be is, depending upon a situation, do you finish your graduation, take 1 or 2 years, don't work too much. If you say like I work for 5 years, 10 years, then go for graduation, that post graduation, that might become a little late. Maximum 2 or 3 years, right? Then take a break, go for post graduation.
That's wonderful, sir. There is another interesting question from Shweta. She is asking, how do you manage your personal and official life? Sir, how should we manage our personal and official life? Because I think she might be inspired by your learning graph and curve, sir.
Very interesting. That's a very tough question to answer, right? The work-life balance is something that you practice and learn over time, right? If I were to define myself, I would call myself more of a workaholic than a very balanced person. Now it depends on, again, what you enjoy, and of course what your family needs also, right? So have a defined time for your work, and remember this: those days are gone when people say that you need to have loyalty to the company that you're working. You need to have if you join a company, you'll have to retire in the same company. All those days are gone. These days, what happens is the hire and fire principle, which used to be a Western culture, has become a global culture now. Companies do hire very good talent. Companies want to retain talent, and companies want to grow talent. At the same time, if the talent is not commensurate with what they need, companies don't hesitate to say, "Thank you, probably this is not the right place for you, go find out something else." Same applies to an individual also, right? You go like what I did in Cosmo Films. You go and join a company with an expectation. If it doesn't suit, see, it's only a matching of two streams, individual and an organization. Neither is right or wrong. The organization is right in its own way. The individual is right in his or her own way. So define that first of all. Second thing is, when you are working for an organization, define your work, right? Don't waste time. Time wasters are the one which actually cause people to become ineffective. Do your work in the given time, have a cutoff, and say, beyond this, I want to focus on something which is personal, because I have to grow as well, right? That way, between the work life and personal life, and enjoy. You need to have fun. Essentially, have fun. That's very, very important. Otherwise, it will become horrible to work in such an environment. It is all in your hands.
That's wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. Prabha, over to you now, and any closing remarks from people there, out, Naveen or someone. Then I will take it over on the conclusion.
Yes, sir. Sir, thank you very much for this wonderful guidance, I would say, because all your experience you have shared with us. I think it will be very motivating and a great inspiration to all the students who are watching live, as well as who are going to watch tomorrow when they search for success in YouTube. So one question I have is on behalf of students, like you have switched over many organizations in your this span of 29 years. What is that one basic thing, or when you got that spark that you need to change the organization or you need to grow further, or what is the reason behind the change, or what advice would you do to the youngsters when how long they should stick on to your company to take that decision?
I will go back to this slide to answer that question. Right? I joined the company with some interest, some choice, some expectation, some challenge. Right? Now, as you keep working, you also gain experience, right, in that area, and then you think that you can do something a little more. To me, it is that challenge that keeps me. Usual way of saying live and kicking. So you have to make sure that you are not there as one more person. That's how I look at it. I don't want to be a one more person in the whole thing. I want to have something that will challenge me every day. I'm ready to fail. I failed many times. I failed. I have, I had to. I was answerable to my failures. But every time, what I did is I owned up my failure, and I made sure that I did not do that mistake once more. So, if in a job I feel that I have done enough, and there is something that's coming up which is much more challenging, I will jump. But the only thing that I will do is I will not look for that changes every day. It's not that I go and 1 year. No, I want to go on more company. There are people who keep changing companies every 2 years, every 3 years. As a matter of fact, for me that doesn't work. Right? You have to give at least 7-8 years of consistency. Right? Now, is 7-8 a good number? Is 15 a good number? That's a matter of debate. But it is a challenge that made me move from one organization to another.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for rendering your valuable time and sharing your experiences with the young minds. We thank on behalf of J.N.N Group of Institutions as well as RIPE Consultancy Services. Sir, over to you, Sriram, sir.
So thank you, sir. It was insightful. So one key takeaway that I would recommend to the students from SAR's journey to success is continuous learning. As pandemic has affected the way we learn our education, so my kind request is I want all the students to follow sir. See, even at this age, he is doing a program. Okay, so for you, the college has been gracious and is planning for a lot of online programs. So I want the students, I request the students to attend all the online programs with 100% attendance. As he rightly pointed out, when we start learning, our ask quotient improves. That is, attitude, skill, and knowledge improves. So every day we become mature, like quantum maturity, we call it as like a difference of 0.1%, point not 1%, point not 2% every day will make a very huge difference in your career. So don't skip online classes. Okay, I know it's very difficult to learn online, but we are all dynamic young people and we need to challenge the challenge. So that is something which is very, very important. When you start challenging the challenge, you become very, very successful. So that is one key takeaway from SAR's program. And to conclude, I remember a quote of Martin Luther King Jr. from what SAR has spoken. Do your work so well that the living, the dead, and the unborn could do it no better. Do your work so well that the living, the dead, and the unborn could do it no better. If you're lost out to be a street sweeper, sweep the streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep the streets so well like Beethoven composed music. So this is something which inspires me every day to do my work so well that the living, the dead, and the unborn could do it no better. Certainly, I feel Sir is a classic example of doing doing his work so well that the living, the dead, and the unborn could do it no better. That is the reason he has climbed up the career graph to this level. And we are very fortunate to have your program, sir. It was insightful, interesting, and it is like awakening our inner consciousness. So sure, students will take your inputs and will grow much better in their career. So thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Group of institutions. I thank the speaker. I thank the right team. I thank the students for this wonderful script for success. Number 6, 10 weeks, 10 speakers, one goal to make students industry ready. J.N.N. Rice, Script for Success, Students Competence Enhancement and Industry Readiness Program. Thank you so much.
Thank you and all the best.